Okay, tonight we're going to be talking about the different outside services that the district initiates or engages in and compare that to employees. Thank you, sir. So, outside services versus employees, we have professional services, BOCES shared services, consultants, and we have district employees. So, professional service is pretty much what we know is just, any organization, department, individual whose core output is a service or expertise rather than a manufactured product. And these services would include attorneys, architects, independent auditors, and our school resource officers. Now, all school districts have at least 3 of these. They not necessarily have a school resource officer. Some of them have an internal security force, but pretty much all school districts have these services. And professional services, this is what the attorneys do. They represent us in labor arbitration, civil lawsuits, any type of litigation. We have independent auditors who render an opinion on the fairness of our financial statements. We've got our architects and engineers who provide, they review our school facilities to make sure that they're safe. They develop plans for any type of renovations or construction that we may do, and some of the stuff that's going on right now. We just did the flood remediation, the visual inspection required by the state. We're doing the GFB roof. That's going to start shortly, including the clock tower. They're designing security vestibules. Remember, we secured $75,000 from Senator Skoufis, so as soon as we get that approval from Senate Finance, we'll be moving ahead with those vestibules, the front steps they did, and a $1.4 million EPC. So attorneys, architects, and engineers, and independent auditors and school resource officers are professional services. And again, all schools use this to some extent. The next thing we use is BOCES. Now, BOCES stands for Board of Cooperative Educational Services. This was created back in the 50s by the state. It's like a joint venture. So districts participate in this. Once you join into BOCES, you're locked in. We have to cover the cost of their administrative capital and those costs. And then we buy individual COSERs or cooperative service agreements. That would be for if our kids want to take a class in culinary arts, et cetera, things like that. BOCES provides those services. Now, every district in Orange County participates in BOCES shared services other than Newburgh. Newburgh is a large city school district, and many times large city school districts don't participate in BOCES, but everybody does to some extent. Smaller districts are going to use more BOCES services than larger districts because larger districts have economies of scale. They've got bigger budgets, they can handle it. So they might be able to have an auto mechanic shop and offer these classes, and a small district like ours couldn't afford to do that. So the most cost-effective way to do that is to hire BOCES. And the nice thing about BOCES is also we get aid on those. And some of the services we get from BOCES currently, we get our technology. We have our director of technology and our network gentleman, Bevan. We currently get him from there. Communications, Jonathan is our communications, or our communications that are going out, our website, all that stuff is done by him. Curriculum and instruction, we all know that right now we're going through a big math analysis of our elementary program. So we brought in math experts from BOCES. These folks, this is what they do, is math. So they're going to help us develop a nice curriculum or select one that we can implement. So we're getting expertise right there through the BOCES folks. Also, they came in and helped us with doing some evaluations of our staff. They help us with staff development. We've got a nice professional development program going on the 30th and 31st. We'll talk more about that later. And also for a lot of special education services. So it's important to distinguish between these different services that you'll see, because I think people there's a misnomer that they're all consultants, and they're not. Let's see, some of the BOCES of the communications. This is some of the things that Jonathan's department does. And we've all seen the work. And some of the consultants, we have educational consultants, and what they do, we've got pupil personnel, bookkeeping services, Medicaid billing, state aid and other business office duties, scheduling. Dr. Cusin, everyone remembers when we first started 2 years ago, we brought Dr. Cusin in. We created a new schedule going from 38 to 48 minutes. It was a big win for the district. We also have a transportation consultant, and the district had decided to outsource the transportation a couple of years back. And they engaged a consultant to do that, and he developed an RFP. So we just brought that consultant back recently because there were things into that contract. After the RFP was done, the consultant was not allowed to complete his work. There was some change in administration. There was a decision not to go forward, and then that decision was made later on, and then there were additional things added to the contract. So we brought the same consultant that had been used a few years ago to renegotiate that contract. Let's see, we also have them do assessments, operations and maintenance. If you recall, we had a couple of gentlemen from the School Facilities Association come in and do an audit of the program, of the facilities, operations and maintenance. And also we have some human resources. We have Mr. Meerhoff doing that work. And this is just some more information about some of the transportation and food services. We have a food service consultant. School districts typically have kitchen managers, and then they have a school director of food services. These are two separate positions. The manager manages the kitchen, prepares the food, but the director oversees the entire program. We're a small district. We only have 2 kitchens, so we just have we have a person, I think we pay like $4,000 for her to do this work. Human resources, we have our 2 human resources people over there, Margaret Wonko and Ed Meerhoff, and this is some of the work that they do. They mediate disputes, maintain personnel files, observe and evaluate teachers' administration, enforce equal opportunity laws, review probationary teachers, maintain the position controls, handle union grievances, etc. Okay, and we've got the business office. We've got a person who works part-time preparing some of the bookkeeping, and this is some of the duties that that person does as well. PPS Special Ed, we have been using Dr. Cogliano over there to help us with that, and these are some of the things that he's done. He's been working with our school psychologist and our other members of our staff, our special ed, and he's been helping for those regards. Tonight you're approving the special ed plan. He helped with that, and he also provide grants, in-service training. We did some RTI work with the staff. He does departmental meetings, meets with the building principals, and these are just some of the other duties that he does. And full-time employees, we all know what they are. Most of them are full-time. We do have some part-time folks. The hours are fixed. The full-time employees work about 8 hours a day. They receive benefits, and they usually need on-site training. Now, this is the organization chart of the district. And as you can see here, these are our full-time staff over here and over here. And the bus drivers are Matt Bus, and technology is other than, where are you over there? We have Bevan and Paul, our shared services, as well as Jonathan. These are internal employees. Now, a typical Orange County school district, their organization chart looks like this. So you can see that their budgets are a lot more robust, and they have a lot more positions than we can afford. So in order to get these services done, since we don't have the full-time employees to do these jobs.
Wait, could you go back to the slide before? So this one, we know the consultants are the light purple. Mm-hmm. So the next slide, are we keeping the same color chart?
No, these here are all full-time employees.
Oh, they're all
That's
full-time,
Orange
so they
County.
have no consultants.
Right,
Okay,
those are,
No, they do. They do have, they also, they complement this with consultants. I've
Okay.
worked at very large districts and we still use consultants, but we would use less consultants in a larger district than we would in a smaller district
all right.
because we don't have the staff to do a lot of these tasks. Okay? Any other questions so far? Okay. All right. So now we did a bit of a cost comparison. So if we had, these are the shared services and consultants. All districts, like I said before, use professional services. So we pulled it out of the equation because it was irrelevant. So if you look at this is shared services and consultants. This is what we're spending right now. And we're also getting BOCE's aid on the BOCE shared services. So the cost is about $391,000. The benefit is we have no benefits, no legacy costs, no paid sick time, and no paid vacation or any of that. So the full-time employees that we compared that, if we had to hire full-time employees, we would be having a cost of about $1.7 million, including salaries and benefits. So you can see we're saving quite a bit of money by doing this. And remember, the BOCE's aid ratio is about 38%. So if any of the BOCE services that we're doing, we're going to get that 38%.
Mr. White, can I ask a question?
course.
The column on the right, does that assume every single position is a full-time job, or are there synergies where you can combine roles and reap some cost savings?
Well, most districts have a director of facilities, they have a director of technology, they have a business superintendent, communications department, they have a food services director, they have a curriculum person, PPS. These are typical of most school districts of any kind of decent size. So this is really what we would be absorbing if we had these positions, but we're small and our budget cannot bear this. So we have to be a lean, mean fighting machine. So that's why we use the shared services and the consultants. As you can see, it's quite a bit less to do it that way.
Are you going to follow up on that?
I'm sorry?
No?
No, I just wanted to follow up on that then. I'm sorry. So,
You want to go
just-
back?
Yeah.
Sure.
So to take Mr. Cogliano, for example, right, on the left side,
Mhm.
we're using him to the extent of 14,000, right? And we're comparing it to something on the right side. Which line would you compare him to on the right side?
Director of PPS.
So I'm sorry, Jeff, it's a long way away.
Director of PPS, 193,674.
All right, so that's a full-time person,
Correct.
but this is not over here on the left,
Correct, that's right.
obviously.
Yep.
So we're comparing full-times and part-times in addition to the cost of the
Well-
benefits and everything else.
Well, we're using someone part-time because that's what we can afford to do. We paid for
That's what we
this-
need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We paid for that out of a grant, yeah.
No, but I think what he's trying to explain or point out is that when you're showing us a number of Michael Cagliano at 14,475, and he's part-time worker, then the person on the right-hand side should be part-time worker, what their number would be in that district with those benefits or whatever.
I couldn't guess.
They don't.
I couldn't guess.
Right, they
It's
don't even
comparing
exist, you're
apples to
saying.
oranges,
That's-
yeah.
Yeah, I just
When
don't
I
want to
looked up the
mislead
state
I don't want the public to be confused that, we're spending, 200 and we would be spending $1.7 million, so we're saving $1.5 million.
Well, let me
But
just
that's
say
not
this to
really
you.
what's going
Well,
on
it
here.
is, because when you think about it, we are a small district, but we still have to do all of the same things that a large district does. We've got to file all the reports, we've got to do everything that a large district does, but we have to do it more economically because we're smaller. So we are trying to get as much of these things done as we can. Okay, anything else? Good. All right, so benefits of using professional services, BOCES, and consultants. Employees can't be jack of all trades, especially, when we have a smaller staff. So we can, due to our size, we can always attract the top talent to all these positions because we're limited. It's hard to find somebody who's got, multiple abilities, like say an elementary principal, also having pupil personnel services background, and say human resources background. So the consultants allow us to get this expertise for these specific tasks. Benefit number 2, we avoid hiring additional full-time employees with benefit packages. And they bring a big resume. They've got a lot of experience. Dr. Cogliano is one of the best in the region at PBS. And we are able to hire the skills and talents we need when we need it. These are short-term contracts, which give us flexibility, and it provides dynamic and flexible operations for the district. So it's more efficient and cost-effective, particularly for a school district with this limited size. And we are in a unique position. We are a school district of 220 students. So our funding is limited, so we must operate with as many efficiencies as we can. Anybody have any questions?
Not for me.
No, yay, next.
Okay.
Can we get a copy of that?
Moving
that the-
along.
Yes.
I will get a copy for you. The ink had an issue, and I will definitely get it to you.
Electronic's better, actually.
Yep,
so then-
I'll do it via email.
Okay,
I will.
perfect.
Okay. Okay, we get the lights back on. All right.